Welcome, Martin, to episode 77 of Illuminating Rounds. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Dave. How are you?
All good, thank you. You are on your high definition internet. Look at you, smooth and all the pixels.
Can you tell the difference?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah,
we can. Yeah,
excellent.
yeah. You
Yeah.
look 5 years younger. So that's the important thing. How are you doing? You okay? You all good?
Yeah, no, very good.
Good. So you did the tabletop talks number 4, which is out and about, which is very good.
Yeah,
Lots of good feedback there.
yeah.
Obviously, you played a great scenario that I designed. Came to the last.
Wondrous scenario. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is good. And it came up. It went to the very end, didn't it?
yeah,
Which is the main thing.
yeah.
It's quite a few views, and so it's quite
Good.
nice to see. Hopefully, people are finding it useful.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm planning another one on Friday. I mean, I don't know when this video will come out, but Friday the 20, nearly 30th or something like that,
Yeah.
whatever Friday is.
Okay.
I'm going to bring out a tutorial, like a bit of a deep dive into movement in the movement phase.
Nice.
So that very much for new players, but I'm going to try and cover a lot of things.
Very good.
So if that's useful to you, keep a lookout for that on Friday.
Excellent. Excellent. So I just got back from Switzerland. It was the Alpenfestung tournament that Mark Bloom runs in a magnificent tournament. Four people are invited, or three and Mark, and we play 3 scenarios. We have some good food. We have a little hike or something in the Alps of Swiss, Swiss kind of just magnificent setting. I'll put some photos up of just the kind of the views and bits and pieces. Played 3 scenarios. We played Shanghai in Flames. I played Into Vienna Woods, and I played Dingoes at something or other. It's one of the journal scenarios. Carriers going through an orchard field. And got lucky definitely got lucky in Into Vienna Woods. I won the tournament, and this was my exciting prize that I got. Look at this. There's
Fantastic.
some Russian troops,
Infantry.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the snow there. Excellent. Always a pleasure to be out playing those guys and had a good time.
Yeah.
Bit more COVID floating around. I think I managed to avoid it this time, but a couple of the guys came down with it, and so wishing those guys well. But it feels like it's just part of life these days, isn't it? It's not like it was, where people are, kind of running to the hills because someone has it. It's a bit now like, oh, okay, all right, well, hope everyone's okay. And so fingers crossed everyone's not too bad that did suffer. But the nice thing was Nicole got to come, and one of the guy's girlfriends also came down, so it was quite nice. They were able to go out and have a walk around and spend the day.
And there's not a lot there, is there? It's walk. You can go for a nice walk, and am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, up some mountains and some little kind of villages and bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We got there on the Thursday evening, and the closest restaurant is 1.5 miles down the road, and there's only one car between 6 of us, so we kind of shuttled backwards and forwards in the car. But yeah, you'll see the photos. It's
Yeah.
so
Excited.
very good, very good. So enjoyed that. But the other important thing is we also played the semi-finals of the Illuminating Rounds 2022 tournament, and you played in the final and completed the final of the Play by Mail tournament. You want to talk about that one first?
Yeah. So, what do you want me to tell them?
You could say if it was a good game, and I know you thought you were going to lose. Did you manage to pull it out in the end? Did you win it? Did you lose it?
Okay, all right. So I can give away all that.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
give away
okay,
that, yeah.
right, yeah. Okay. No, I wasn't sure whether you wanted to. Okay, all right. Okay, right.
Did you win?
Exciting. So I had a great game, very, very good game against Tim. He absolutely smashed me to pieces.
I know.
So yeah, it wasn't a particularly close game. I think sort of at every stage, really, Tim seemed to have the upper hand. Luckily, because it's play by email, I won't have to relive the humiliation on Illuminating Rounds. Oh no, Tim's he's strung it together, hasn't he? So yeah, we're gonna.
Tim has put together a video, and he's going to do some commentary as well, which I'm looking forward to.
It's going to be great. We'll go through that probably in a couple of weeks' time or whatever. So,
yeah, exactly that.
So yeah, I'll be here to to point out all the awful humiliations of watching my tanks go up in flames. But I've got to say, I'm very impressed by Tim as a player. He seems like a very, very good player to me. He denies that. He says, "Oh, next time we play, you'll probably smash me to pieces, whatever." But
Right.
yeah, he's a good player.
Good. Well done for competing at least and getting to the final. That's
Yeah, yeah, and it's a nice prize, isn't it?
it is a nice prize. So we've got the I've actually put it away, but only because I've moved my study around. So I'll bring it out for next time before we send it off to Tim. We will send it off to
Yeah,
Tim. There's no
yeah,
problems.
yeah.
He was suggesting it was going to be too expensive. No expense is too much for our patrons.
Not for a winner, not for our winner.
No, exactly. So Tim would have played, and we will get that to you. But we'd love your commentary. We'd love his video of the game. I did skim through it. Yeah, it looked like you were up against it. Let's say.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
But anyway, you get your revenge in a way because you get to watch the two semi-finals that were going on for this year's normal tournament. So we're going to go through that. That was second crack at Caumont that you picked. Nice scenario. And I played Tom Rapetti and Tumo played Mike Grogan. So we're going to go through both those games in a bit.
Yeah.
We've got to say
quite substantial, isn't it? I mean, it's separates the men from the boys a little bit. Big one like that. Tom, you were talking about Tom. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was going to say I'm standing squarely in the boys' corner there, I think. The other thing I was going to say is we had new Patreons. We had to say big thank you. We just missed Stephen Fromm, who just missed the last cut-off. He joined in just before, after we recorded, but before I'd put it together, so that's why he was on the credits last time. Didn't say hi to him. And to Kevin Hannon as well. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patronage. You have now the graphics if you enable them on the Scenario Archive. The other thing that some people have noticed that did get mentioned on the forums, on the archive now, if you upload your games, you can say whether they were played face-to-face or in person or over the boards via Skype or played by mail and stuff like that. And I'm kind of intrigued to see the split between games these days, if they're mostly played on Vassal, how many are played on face-to-face. I will do things like I want to add things like where the balance was used, and I want to try and figure out a nice way of showing how many games were won with or without the balance and stuff like that. But it's not as important, and also potentially how many games are played as a tournament rather than just as a friendly. But again, there's some kind of little tricky bits there about things like if it's a league play or if it's not competitive but a friendly, teaching game, stuff like that. And so I kind of, at the moment, I'm just thinking it doesn't really matter. Most games are played in a fairly similar style, regardless of whether they're tournaments or not.
And Game Squad have got a sub forum.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they've just created one. So yeah, if you've got any questions or thoughts or issues or whatever, by all means, post that. Up on there. Yeah.
It's I wonder what. I kind of never really got into recording my games, but you point out that I got a phenomenal memory of them anyway. But it would be I kind of do wish now, because the archive existed really when I started to play. I really wish I'd recorded all my games from the start. Even thinking about starting to do it now, which actually put me off because I know I can never catch up with all the ones I didn't do.
Well, I mean, I can definitely give you an export of all the games we've played.
Yes.
And you can probably get all the ones that you've played in tournament games from
that's true.
View from the Trenches and stuff. So
that's true.
It gives you a fairly good start. I genuinely wouldn't be without it, and it's crazy. I built the archive because I wanted something like that to record my games, because I love the idea of trying to complete a journals, scenarios, or whatever, and that idea of I'd hate to play a scenario again instead of playing a new scenario if I had the chance. Because I didn't remember playing it, and then only halfway through saying, "Oh wait, I've played this before," that kind of thing. So it's nice, and it also is nice when, for example, at Switzerland when we're talking about these scenarios, and someone says, "Have you played X, Y, Z before?" And I say, "I have no idea."
Hang on a moment.
Yeah, exactly that. And it turned out, so Shanghai in Flames, we played. I think Shanghai in Flames was played like 22 years ago. I'd played it. It's crazy, I'm not going to remember that, but I knew I played it and I saw what happened, and it was nice. So it was all good. So yeah, I mean, by all means, but the other thing is your games technically against me are logged anyway, so you can kind of, but you just can't find them that easily. Because they're not necessarily you. I might add a feature at some point that kind of tries to find the games that you have played that other people have logged against you. at the moment, because that doesn't really, you don't really get to see that at the moment.
Because it's quite interesting. Because if I'd played somebody a long time ago and maybe I couldn't remember their name, and they logged it and I logged it, essentially it would be logged twice, wouldn't it?
But you get to tick a duplicate. So if you've seen it's been logged already on the game page, you tick the duplicate, and then it doesn't count against things like the balance,
Sure.
number, that stuff. But
because obviously, if the other person, so if the other person is, so if I log a game against you and you've already logged it, because I put my opponent as you, it automatically does those adjustments. Is that
so
right?
no? So at the moment, no. So if for example I've logged a game against you and you don't do anything, according to the archive, you haven't played any games, with the exception of the there's the kind of the ratings calculator. That ratings calculator does try to work out games that have been referenced to you, even though they're not on you. So I'd need to put a different section down, sort of saying these are games that have been logged against you, which I might do. I think it seems like a nice feature to do. So I might try and do something like that. The tricky thing is that people have the same names, and some people say it's Daniel T or whatever instead of their full names, and so it's a little bit tricky to do. But that's that. So that's the current things. The other thing I've got to say a big thank you to is Morris and Stefan and Jim Hoxley got together to help me put the numbers together for the publication dates for all 900 scenarios, not publications that I didn't have accurate dates for. An incredible piece of work they did. It's these guys, honestly, you give them a little task and they get together, and I can't tell you who did the majority work. I think it might have been Stefan, but I don't know. It could be Morris, it could have been Jim, I don't know. And they come up with all the dates, and now we've got accurate dates, as accurate as we can get really, for all the publications, which means we have dates for scenarios published, which means you can see trends of things like, are scenarios getting bigger over time? Are they getting smaller over time? Are they getting more popular over time? When is the heyday for the best rated scenarios? So I'll start to show a few of those graphs in the future, and we can see
fantastic.
What that looks like. So if you have any ideas of kind of queries you'd like to run or like to see data for, we can do that. So that's quite nice.
Can I do a little shout out to my other channel?
You certainly can.
So I started another channel, which has nothing to do with ASL, but it might be. I like some strategy games that I play on the computer. So I've started a channel called Strat Chat, and there are some tutorials for Crusader Kings 3 and for Civilization 6. So if anybody's interested in those games, I might be doing something on Victoria 3 as well, which is just coming out this week. So if you're interested, have a look, and if you're not interested, then just ignore the fact that I just said this.
Yeah, no problems. Good stuff. Yeah, it's nice to see you branch out and that's do your own stuff. That's how I care. You're not taking my subscribers with you. All right, let me tell you. Right, we let's have a look at, I guess, the second crack at Caumont. I'll start with my game against Tom, and then we'll work on from there. Okay, so running through the scenario. So it's an action pack 32 scenario. So running through it, Germans have about nine and a half squads, and they have 12 dummy counters on here. But obviously, Americans starting on board, so
they do know they set up concealed.
They set up. Thank you. Okay, I was going to get. Right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So yeah, good catch. So there will be 12 dummy counters out there. They have an 88L gun this double L gun actually, which after some discussion we agreed shouldn't set up in the buildings. There's a little bit of debate about this because although the gun technically by ASL rules can set up in a building, in order to move the gun it has to be limbered, and when it's limbered it's large, so it can't get into the building. So there's a bit of a debate, unless it was built inside this building as a factory style kit gun, in theory it can't get into the building. So Tom and I agreed.
Sean Carter took me to a museum where they've got an 88 double L gun, and he said to me, "Can you imagine getting that into a building?" And they are huge. You really wouldn't have it in an average house.
Right, fair enough. They also get a Jagdpanzer 4, I think it's the 75L.
That's right.
They get one of those little guys there, kind of flying around, and they get a a Panzer IV J that comes on as well, with a squad and 8-1 leader
But
on
not till turn 3.
That's right,
Yeah.
turn 3, right at the bottom of the board. Now the victory conditions for the Americans, who have 12 squads, mostly 667s and 666s. They have to take 12. I think it's 12 locations, 12 multi-level stone buildings.
Buildings, yeah.
Yeah. So a quick count up of the kind of the victory conditions here. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think it's something like 16. The theory is that there are enough buildings that if the Germans just hold on to the kind of the bottom left-hand section, the Americans will win. Now, Tom has an amazing little trick for this one, which we're gonna get into, which is that the Germans set up or start with a demo charge as well, and a 9-2 leader. So Tom's plan here is to set the DC in one of his prep fire or fire phases, and then he's going to withdraw out of the building, and he's going to set the demo charge off, and it will probably take the building and the victory location with it, as long as I'm not in there already. And that will force me to take one extra building from this bottom left-hand corner. And this really is going to be like the Alamo. This is going to be the section that he's going to fall back to. So it's nice setup from Tom. Obviously, we don't know if the tanks or the one tank that he's got is on the right, in the middle, or on the left. So now, Martin, so this is a good question for you. Without looking at my setup, not worrying about that, but which one would you think the tank is? So it's one of these three 5/8 inch counters.
Okay.
So in terms of like where it could be, now I can set up. I have to set up like kind of behind this road, but there's only I think it's something like three squads can set up on this board, in the middle board.
Yeah.
So the tanks can't set up on there. But I mean, I figured that it wouldn't be this tank here, because I get a shot at it from the start.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bocage, but I do get a shot. So there's that.
Yeah.
I thought this one here looked a little bit open, and potentially able to get flanked either from like this way and this way. Yeah. So I figured it must be this guy here, and that
was my guess.
So now I do have this bazooka here just in case this guy's real, but it's a bit of a long shot getting him around the back here. But I was kind of putting all my eggs in the basket of being this guy here. So that's kind of where this is going. So we'll kick off the game. I mean, basically in my setup, not certain really what I was doing. I think the tank on this side here, he's thinking it's going to run all the way down here. This tank can come into the middle here. This tank's going to come through, and then these two on the right will kind of pincer maneuver. We'll see where it goes. So we'll run through nice and quickly and see.
That's a great scenario.
Yeah, it is a nice scenario, and I think we'll see kind of what goes on. So we'll zoom in here. So the first thing we're going to do is the hero's going to run in and see what he can find, and we find straight away some squads here. The bazooka gets a bit lucky, and then takes another shot from here and gets lucky. The number of 8s that Tom rolled, by the way, I mean, just look out for this. It's incredible, Tom's terrible luck. But straight away, we find the tank, which kind of messed me up because I was like, okay, now that's thrown me off. I don't know what I'm doing now. The bazooka's like this charmed life of this bazooka that decides that this is the best place to be. He's just going to get shot all over the place from like the whole of Tom's army. More 8s. Yeah. I mean, just. So here's my, I like to demonstrate my incompetence always with my tanks, but here's how I'm going to try and miserably take this tank out.
And these are Bockers, isn't it? So it's actually
Yeah.
quite a substantial bit of protection he's behind
Yeah,
there.
exactly that,
The
exactly.
bazooka's got a good chance.
Yeah, so Tom rolls the 8 to hit and then gets the 10 to kill. It's not enough. But I don't know what I'm doing to try and sort this out. I'm kind of like, just line it up. So the good news is, I think, like, hey, at least these tanks can't get killed because, you know,
Yeah.
there's no tanks over here. So these guys come flying in. I should point out it's quite late in the war, so
Yeah,
there's
Panzerfaust.
plenty.
Well, it's 44, isn't it? June
Yeah,
44.
yeah,
It's in Normandy, isn't it?
right. So in we come.
Mm.
All right, so there's a nice double six there from the my guys that are just absolutely blindly just sitting in the middle of the road here. I mean, it's crazy in front of this machine gun that then breaks. The medium machine gun. It gets me at this point here. We then discover the 88, and look at where the 88 is. So I had assumed, again, I've got to stop assuming that people play like I play. I would have put the 88 next to the tank just to give it a bit more protection. But having it on the other side is absolutely, the right thing to do in terms of you get to cover both flanks. So, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to get some.
It's two tanks down in a few minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do you
But
do
you've
here?
got his tank. You got his tank. That's
Yeah, that was the bazooka shot. So that bazooka shot there, I don't know if you can see this here, a 4 to hit and 4 to kill. And I think I needed 5. I think it was something like 4s to hit and 5s to kill. And I got 4 and 4.
Yeah, assuming he'd survived, you would have got it in his turn, wouldn't you?
Well, potentially. I mean, he would have potentially spun and taken one of these tanks out as well, though. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. So we did a bit of repositioning, but at this point, I'm feeling like the Germans can swarm. The Americans can swarm the Germans here. Obviously, it takes another tank out there, the 88. The hero's being a bit of a pest in the back there. We begin the kind of the withdrawal here of the Americans. I get them encircled. We DM them. They're going to take the prisoners. So an important rule there to remember is there
is a CVP cap as well. It's worth remembering, isn't it?
That's exactly right.
It's a significant,
Yeah, that's right. I think is it 29? I think 30 points. I think is the cut-off.
Yeah, so less than to 29.
Yeah, is okay, and it's critical that CVP because these tanks. It's not easy to move these around in the town.
Well, it's just got a bit easier with him being down a tank.
He has, yeah. Now the other thing to keep an eye on is the blaze in the grain. That's gonna be my best friend slowly.
Yeah.
We have a bit of more repositioning, but you can see that I'm starting to take the buildings. The DC's been set. That's the other key thing. So this DC has been set. It's going to go off, and essentially, I think it's like maybe 8s or 9s is required just to rubble the building.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see how that goes. And again, if that takes the building down, it means I've got to get all the way across to this area here and take at least one of these buildings, and that is going to be difficult.
Sure.
More withdrawing here, and it's one of those things where I'd like to have had a bit of firepower across this road here, and if I can do that, that's going to stop these guys. But there's not a lot with a half squad. That's something might get the odd shot, but not great. And Tom's feeling the punishment here with these 11 on the roll for the set DC, and he doesn't deserve that, for good ideas like this. My guys down here are killed with the bazooka. They're taken in close combat, and it means that for the rest of the game, these two guys here have to kind of cover from this squad the victory condition here, which is a little bit frustrating because it means I'm kind of down a squad and a half that I can use to take on. So turn 3, my last turn before the reinforcements come on. and we're just kind of slowly pushing, and we'll clear out the Germans in this area.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we pretty much do it. So there's
I've got to say, it looks like it's going very well for you, really. You've
yeah,
got like a lot of strength in the centre there.
yeah. Now, funnily enough,
Yeah.
I thought I was struggling, and Tom thought he was struggling, which we've talked before
Yeah.
about the sign of a good scenario.
Yeah.
So there's that. You can see the flames are sneaking up to the 88
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
On come the reinforcements. They're just running up here as well. But that 9-2, this is the thing with 9-2s. They do tend to turn
They're
the
very
tide.
difficult to match, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and this is it. Sat in the middle there with those guys is going to be tricky. The flames becoming blazes. But yeah, as you say, I've got that entire section now, and so
Yeah.
really I need one more building. This is the key thing. So 3 turns. Now the important thing here is as well, the Germans get the last turn, so it is worth noting that
Yeah.
you've got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah. You kind of need a couple of spares in case you lose one or two.
Exactly.
Sneaky, repeti play.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But it should feel like you're winning. You've only got one more to get. You've got 3 turns.
Yep. We
Yeah.
have my squad went berserk here in this hex here in the victory location. So again, this if I take this victory location here, then I'll have enough. But obviously he might get to reinforce it, and the tanks outside it as well. So we'll see how that goes. So we have some more flames. The flames now have reached the anti-tank gun. I roll a 7 for the close combat, and Tom rolls a 3. So my berserk squad is destroyed, and that's tricky because it means now I haven't got over to the other side. If I'd won that close combat, I think I probably would have won the scenario. I think it would have been very, very difficult for Tom to recapture that many buildings. As it is, one extra turn there, and we're seeing that the blaze now has reached the gun, and the crew have jumped away from the gun here. So some white phosphorus that Tom kindly reminded me that I had on here, but white phosphorus in buildings doesn't generally do too much.
No, but it's smoke, isn't it? It's
yeah, that's all right. So we push on again, just trying to it's one extra building, and Tom really does make the most out of all of his units here. You'll see how well he covers these. So we mess up the close combat. So not a lot is going on. But it's open ground. It's Americans trying to cross open ground. It's always difficult, and now we've got the tank that's covering it as well.
Yeah.
And I've got to get across. We've got another melee here, but again, this is now it's going to struggle with the half squad and the ability there. Tom's rallied the 8-1 here.
Yeah.
So a whole bunch of area acquisitions coming in. The sniper manages to get a whole bunch of guys here, but misses the 9-2. But does a pretty good job of
absolutely
messing up the guys. Close combat is tied up, and I think we have one last turn here, which is the last charge.
Yeah. It's Berserker won the close combat on the right-hand side there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that was helping you, really, having a key unit go berserk. But.
Yeah. But ultimately, I couldn't do anything other than run in the road. And obviously would have had to try and hold on as well. And so, well played to Tom, who's made it into the finals. And it was a good scenario. And Tom, did excellently. Good fun game.
Hmm.
And that was that.
Yeah, it looked
So
like a good crack. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, we're going to look at the second crack now, which is
Yes.
not something I like to say to you too often. But let's take a look at that.
Yes.
All right. So we've got Tomo as the American, and Mike is
Hmm.
defending with the Germans.
Yeah.
So do you want to walk us through this one? I mean,
I,
good use of the vassal templates again, like the
yes, looks good, doesn't it?
yeah.
Looks good. Very different setup here to you and Tuomo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So only went for the deliberate only one obvious position for the tank, so we know where the tank is from the start.
Yeah. Be interesting to see where the gun is.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay. I shall start going through.
Yeah.
Okay, he's got smoke straight off. And we got it's much more kind of in-depth defence for the Germans, don't you think? It's a different strategy. Obviously, they're not doing the demolition charge trick, Tomo's trick.
Right, right. There's that
Very, yeah,
awkward German right out on the left
yeah.
that's presumably just preparing for some kind of flank.
I
Wouldn't be
guess so.
surprised if they're dummies there.
Might be dummies or the half squad with a Panzer Schreck or something
Yep.
like that, perhaps.
Yep.
But you've got a very deliberate American move there to move forward safely. You've got the smoke, they're moving up behind it.
Yep.
Here come the tanks.
Yeah, definitely coordinated. I mean, they're much
Very
better.
coordinated,
Yeah, the attack.
yeah. And actually, Germans starting to break in places. Routing away, Americans advancing forward. That looks very strong, doesn't it? Very,
Yeah.
very deliberate. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, the Germans have to be careful not to get kind of too cut off in that centre.
yeah, yeah.
Centre
There's a lot of
section.
buildings there, isn't there? And there's nothing. There are nothing. Well, there's nothing in the bottom group of buildings at
Right.
all, is there at the moment? Yeah. It's still American turn one, so back to. So it's their final fire. Oh no, so it's German turn now, isn't it? Okay. Of course, that now they're in the smoke. That their final fire is less effective.
Right.
Germans definitely falling back against the awesome American firepower.
No sign of the gun yet.
No, Americans crossing the road. Getting rid of some German concealment. They're really getting into that central building.
So it's worth noting I finished the scenario on I think 24 CVP, something like that.
Yeah.
So was probably a tank and a tiny bit away from losing the scenario, maybe 23.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an issue.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, the Americans are doing reasonably well on the CVP, aren't they?
Yes.
It's this very, very deliberate, careful advance. Yeah, just broken small Germans. And it's terrifying. I mean, look, they're
Wow.
all together in that centre, aren't they?
Yeah.
That firepower is just going to be able to push them forward.
Yeah, the tank's not
looks
doing a
like
lot, is it? The tank in
Yeah.
for
Looks
the
like an
Germans.
American victory.
Yes, yeah.
Advancing fire shot.
Oh,
That's a steeple.
Steeple in there. Oh, okay.
Oh, because he's routed upstairs.
Right.
It's only a half squad, but got a little bit of close combat going to be going on. Quite a lot of broken
9-2.
Americans now. Yeah.
9-2 is
Yeah. 9-2 is just awful. What turn are we on? These things disappear.
yeah, I can't tell right now.
It's German turn 2 at the
Okay.
moment, yeah. American fire coming back. Lots of broken units on both sides. Tank gone up in a blaze. Close combat. American turn 3. Suddenly, Americans look a little bit thinner on the ground than they did look.
They do, but they're still okay, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And look, they've crossed that road now. There's nothing to stop them getting into that whole district, that whole block.
Right.
Yeah, look, they're looking really good.
So CVP looks like 11 CVP at the moment to the Germans.
And the recall tank won't count.
The recall tank won't, no.
He's getting a lot of value out of these tanks.
Have we seen a recall tank yet? Have we?
Yeah, I think at the top boards on board 54.
Oh, I see. He's gone. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay, so the Americans still pressing forward. Some prisoners been taken from the steeple. Oh, reinforcements. So this is German turn 3. They come off from a different side.
Okay, right.
That tank's going off a hunting CVP, isn't it?
Yes.
That German tank, yeah. Nice.
It's got a broken main armament as well.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's mouthed it.
Yeah, Germans.
Yeah, there's so few Germans left, isn't there? But
yeah. It
looks like an American win, doesn't it? It looks like
absolutely looks like an American win. We've even got that nice shot there from the Sherman, named Dave.
Always a concern.
Yeah. Another American tank's gone up.
Oh yeah, the blaze. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the picture?
18 CVP.
18. It's working its way up. But they're going to capture these buildings at the bottom. Yeah. Not quite sure. It's a very complex game. There's Germans in all. There's not a clear front line. There's fighting all over the place.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And this is German turn 4.
24 CVP now.
Ooh.
Okay.
So we think it looks like an American win, but I don't think
tank. Yeah, you've got a stunned tank here.
Has Dave been destroyed?
Dave has been destroyed, and you've got the stunned Cedric.
Yeah. Was my sister's dog's name, Cedric.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Is that the end?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it.
So in the end, it was the CVP.
Yes.
Because it looked desperate for the Americans, and it's only then that we've seen the anti-aircraft come.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar placement to. It was certainly not very far away from the one that you faced.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So and the tank on the other side as well, like kind of tied on. But yeah, it looked like harsh on the Americans. That look like they've pretty much done everything apart from keep their tanks.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. Well, good game. Well played, Mike. Unlucky.
Absolutely.
That's one of those trickier ones. You have to be careful of, don't you? Really, I suppose, with CVP.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of CVP scenarios, Martin? Do you like them?
Do you know what? I'm not a bright guy, really. I like simplicity, because the thing is that the more complex the victory conditions, the more likely I'm going to end up losing because I haven't quite thought it through carefully enough. But I think it is a good mechanism in scenario design, because otherwise, in real life, they're not going to throw tanks and men away they want them for the next day, don't they? So I think it forces an attacker to use their resources wisely. So I think it makes for better scenarios.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like sometimes it's overdone a little bit, and I feel like I don't like losing on a CVP. I feel like that's one of the worst ways to lose a scenario in a way. If you've got to try and hold on to the buildings and you don't manage to hold on to them, fair enough. But
Yeah.
given that, it always seems to be that the sniper, breaking the 9-2, who then does this and does that, and or this, killing the 9-2, and suddenly 3 CVP have gone over. Just feels a bit arbitrary, a bit random. So yeah, that's that. But anyway,
It is quite interesting having a single man who's worth 3 points or whatever, and then the other guy, who technically might be the senior rank, I suppose, isn't it? But he's only worth 1. Whatever. It's interesting.
Exactly. So you've picked the scenario for the final that Mike and Tom Rapetti will be playing. Do you want to tell us what that one is?
Yeah, I've forgotten. You remember what it is? I mean, I've sent it off to them. I've sent them email off.
You have sent them emails off. So Martin, what's the scenario going to be for the final? Going to be the
9th Tanks.
Okay, all right. Tip of your tongue. Yeah.
So 9th Tanks looks like a really interesting scenario. It's from Blood and Jungle. It's had a bit of play, and it's PTO. Fair bit of play, but also it's nicely balanced and has had some nice write-ups. People writing up saying they enjoyed it. I think it might be the most popular game or one of the most popular games in Blood and Jungle, which I remember at one point everybody was playing. It was a big, big set of scenarios when it came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a fantastic pack. Yeah, exactly that. All right, okay, so that's that. We're now going to talk about the final of the brackets. Now, okay, I think that people that watch this understand what we're trying to do. People that just see the forum votes tend to not understand what we're doing, so we might have to try and explain a bit clearer. Maybe I'm going to get used to post it because people don't listen to when I post them in terms of what we're looking for. But anyway, so we're comparing now the 2 finalists, which is the Journal Collection against Beyond Valor version 3. And I mean, again, okay, so apples and oranges, we understand that it's not about that. It's not about saying you wouldn't get the Russians if you didn't buy Beyond Valor. It's not about saying if you can only buy one of these, which one are you going to buy? It's not like that. We're just trying to figure out what the best collection is of arguably scenarios, but also cost per scenario potentially, and things like that. So I said I'd defend the journals, or I rolled randomly for the journals. And I think we've both talked about the fact that a journal arriving is definitely at least on par with, if not, akin to a new module arriving in the post. It's a cool thing, isn't it? I mean, like, if I could have a Christmas present, I'm having journal. Is it 13 that's nearly out? That would be it's a good fun thing to grab. There's been some great scenarios from the journal, not least things like Urban Guerrillas, which I think was the first journal scenario, maybe. And there's been some great ones. There's also been some really good reprints. And so, I was looking down at the list of good scenarios that have come out from the journal. Mersenhausen Zoo, Elephants Unleashed, both reprinted, both taken from other third parties, but both have benefited, I think, from the wider range of scenarios or people that play them because they're official. And I think it's less, or is it less unusual, more unusual? Less unusual than you think that people only collect official products. So in Switzerland, I was talking to Mark. Mark was telling me how many scenarios he has, so many scenarios to play, and etc. And he said he had 400 scenarios. And I thought, well, 400 doesn't sound like that many. I've got 2,700, I'm sure you've got somewhere similar to that. And he said, well, I only collect official scenarios. That's all. And that's absolutely, there's no problems with that. There's never, but he came across the same thing that we've talked about before, which is when you start looking for specific scenarios. So for example, he was looking for 3 scenarios, tournament size, with a bit of a theme to them. It's quite hard if you've only got the official scenarios to find exactly what you're looking for. Where you've got, you just mentioned Blood and Jungle. I think Blood and Jungle's got something like 40, 45 scenarios in it, something like that. It's an incredible wealth of content that you've got from one pack. But nevertheless, so bringing scenarios from third parties into the wider domain is a very good thing, I think, for everybody. We shouldn't forget to mention as well the amazing articles that are in the journals as well. So, from the scenarios replays, which are series replays, which are great because they show you higher level play, gives you some tips and tricks, and I certainly used them a lot more when I was learning ASL, just to get a feeling for how aggressive should you be with tanks. Our tanks really only supposed to be moving 2 or 3 hexes a turn, and are you supposed to be running them across the whole board? And the series replays will give you a really good example of how that's done. And then I can talk about the great articles that we use. So we've just recently played Acts of Defiance, which I appreciate was not an official or a Beyond Valor scenario. Originally, it was a.
It is in Beyond Valor.
It is, but not originally. So I was saying in terms
right,
of, it was like a dagger. I think it was in the dagger, and it was a critical hit scenario. An amazing scenario, by the way. We had a great time with it. But there was an article in one of the journals, I think Journal 5, all about how to play Acts of Defiance. An amazing little article about the Goliaths, which helped me no end figuring out how to blow up the bridges with them. And so that's such a nice little package. I think it's a really nice thing. So in terms of top rated scenarios, we talked about Urban Guerrillas. I mean, clearing Kazaru, I think, is the top rated scenario, but it's only been played a few times, so it's not really fair. It's got caves, and it's a bit self-selecting. The people that want caves will probably get a good cave scenario. But I mean, looking at other scenarios that you and I have played, Silesian Interlude, Lenin's Sons, Martyrs Not Martyrs, Elephants Unleashed, which you've obviously just played, Mazkik, Fire Brigade, again another reprint from a previous one. Some superb scenarios that you get, and then there's all the kind of the little tournament scenarios. I mean, I think 5th RTR in the Rain and stuff like this, which are great little scenarios that just pop up and you see. So I'd be hard pushed to say anything other than journals are the best kind of collection. I guess in terms of money, perhaps our full collection of journals might cost you double what Beyond Valor might cost you for a 3rd edition. But that's my kind of thoughts. What do you think about Beyond Valor?
Yeah, so I had some similar sort of thoughts about Beyond Valor in a way. I mean, I thought about the comparison of opening. So you got comes through the post. You got Beyond Valor comes through the post, or you got the journal comes through the post. Both are good days, aren't they? But with Beyond Valor, typically at the beginning of your ASL career, isn't it? At most you might have played somebody else and you've ordered it and it comes. That's a big moment in a guy's life, So journal arriving's great. Opening Beyond Valor for the first time is, it's defining moment in your life. So anyway, you open it up, and what have you got inside it? So it comes. I mean, the 3rd edition, which was what I was looking at anyway, it comes with 10 boards, 14 counter sheets, 14 counter sheets. There's no other module I think that comes with anything close to 40, because of course it has the whole system as well. 26, is it 24? It might be 24 scenarios. But and 4 dice. You don't get them in the journal, do you? 4 dice come in the 3rd edition. I had the 1st edition, 2 dice. So much better, 4 dice.
Do you get 2 white dice in it?
I think you basically got a set for each player. I think that's the idea of it, right. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't check the colour of the dice, the 4 dice. But I think there's 1 coloured, 1 white each, I think is the idea. All right. But if you so looking at the archive, the scenario archive, ASL scenario archive, it adds up to 214 hours of play. I think the archive, if anything, perhaps slightly overestimates, but nonetheless, that would equate to 9 full 24-hour-long days.
When are you free, Martin?
From tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's phenomenal, isn't it? So if you dedicated your life to it, you could probably get through them in a couple of months, but that would be properly every single day working your way through them. And also, I mean, they've got 3,000 playings on Raw from Beyond Valor, which is interesting. I think possibly the journal might challenge that actually, because there's so many scenarios. But so I thought, but this is unique. But on average, just over 8 hours is the playing time for the scenarios in Beyond.
So big,
they're big scenarios. And actually, when I look back, and you mentioned the 3rd RTR in the Rain. I've played that, was great. There's loads of ones you mentioned for the journal. A lot of them I've played with you. All great scenarios, all lovely scenarios. But the ones that really stick in my mind when I look back over my time as a creator are the big day-long scenarios that we played.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the style of Beyond Valor, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think in a way, that's the heart of ASL. Is those big, those smaller scenarios. They're great, and we enjoy playing them. But you play them because you haven't got time to do the big deal. That's kind of what I was thinking. So some of the ones that were worth mentioning. The most highly rated scenario from Beyond Valor is Acts of Defiance.
Okay.
Amazing, isn't it?
So we played it. So we should just we
Yeah.
won't show our game of that because we're going to do that. Rob's currently building models to be able to show.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting. We'll talk about this more later on. Did you know Acts of Defiance is a historical scenario? It did not happen.
Oh, right. I did not know that.
And not only did it not happen, the tanks involved, one of the tanks involved, didn't fire a shot in the war. So this is what Rob was telling us. So Rob's going to tell us all about this in his video next. But it opens up the discussion, which we'll have next time, around ahistorical scenarios.
Ahistorical scenarios. Because there's some great scenarios which are ahistorical, aren't there? Some,
Exactly.
and I think some people feel more strongly about it than others.
But what I was going to say about Acts of Defiance was, and I know it's a little bit unfair because again, it's not necessary. It's hard to say. I mean, we're going to treat it as a Beyond Valor scenario because it's in the package, but obviously, it's been brought in from outside. But it had a feel to it, didn't it? It had a feel of there was lots going on here. There was separate battles kind of going on. There was the bridge, and there was the Goliaths, and there was the 838s holding off the kind of the reinforcements, and then there was the encirclement of the village. It was a great scenario. It really, really was great.
It was a lot of fun. Look forward to showing it actually. But Acts of Defiance is a little bit unusual because it's in the ones that were added in the subsequent editions. The original 10, from the original 10, so the second most popular one is the Citadel, which I played but not with you. And that's very typical of the first 10 scenarios of Beyond Valor, which are big city fights. The Citadel is a big scenario. Take a proper day to play it out. Big, massive city fight. And the second, and the third most popular, or the third highest rating, is Fighting Withdrawal, of course, being number one. And when I first looked at that scenario way back, when I played it right at the beginning, I thought, is this a good? If you were going to write the first scenario, perhaps I wouldn't have created a scenario like that. But actually, it's a really good introductory scenario in a way. Introduces some quite interesting aspects of the game. And it's funny that a lot of people's first ever game of ASL has got buildings on fire and spreading fire, and it's got some aspects you wouldn't expect. So that's I think those are and the thing is, of course, that you've got the Russians, haven't you, and you've got the Germans, and those are at the heart of ASL. I think the system was built around them as initially. And final scenario I wanted to mention before I move on, or finish really, is Epic Defense of Luga. The archive estimates that would take 21 hours to play.
Right. Wow.
Looks a cracker. So maybe one day, we'll get round to it. But I think there is some variety, but they do tend to be city heavy fights, but there's some massive classics there, and I enjoy those day long games. Yeah. So there rests the case for Beyond Valor.
Okay.
But we leave it up to the viewers to decide.
All right. So you're gonna post the forum thing. We'll get you doing. We'll get you doing because I think the thing. I'm a marked man for keep posting these.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting, isn't it? It's a discussion, isn't it? It's an interesting discussion about what your favourite scenario is.
People are going to tell you that you should just buy both. That's going to be which of course is the right answer. We know, we get it, we know. But it's interesting to see how it goes. And it's been a fun trip down the official publications and bits and pieces.
This time next video, we will know officially what is the best,
scientifically and officially. All right. So next time we're going to talk about hopefully Acts of Defiance. We've got our brief Hasmo game that we can show as well that we'll go through.
We've got Tim's final.
Tim's final to go through. Yep, absolutely. And we'll potentially even have maybe Mike and Tom Rapetti's game as well to show. So plenty going on. We'll do a giveaway for something next week as well. So stay tuned for that for the patrons. Anything else, Martin? You got anything else for us?
No, I haven't got anything else.
No, that's it.
Check out Strat Chat.
Yes, there you go. There you go. And just to clarify, I'm invited on it, Marty. I know it's absolutely cool. We'll do something together, I'm sure, on there as well.
I've literally said that Dave can join anytime he wants, including after I've made the first million and be a 50-50 partner. So
that's pretty generous. Pretty generous. We've picked the next scenario we're going to play face to face. So we're going to get together next week. We're going to do a nice, hope like all day scenario, and we're going to play Two Ashes, which came up on one of the forum threads about top 10 scenarios, and the best kind of tagline I could see for it was Steve Plaver saying that people could write a graduate thesis on this scenario. So we will mess this scenario up in no end.
We'll put this in the comedy section of the.
Excellent. All right. Well, until then, Martin, looking forward to it. Take it easy, and see you soon.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. I was in. Sorry?
I'm going to sneeze.
Oh, let's stop.